Imagine if you could sell your home and owe no taxes on it. Does that sound too good to be true? Let's dive in and find out. This is an article that was published on CNBC just a few days ago. The article is called Trump Floats No Tax on Capital Gains for Home Sales. Here's who would benefit. And it starts off saying, under the current tax law, home sellers can face capital taxes once profits exceed $250,000 for a single filer or $500,000, $500,000 for married couples filing jointly. And here's an important piece, that since 1997, those thresholds have not been changed. So almost 30 years. They have not been indexed for inflation. And more of us as home sellers are subject to capital gains as our property values rise. Trump's comments came roughly 2 weeks after Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, representative from Georgia, introduced the No Tax on Home Sales Act to eliminate capital tax on primary home sales. Okay, so how many of us are subject to this? According to the article, some 29 million homeowners, about 34% of us, could exceed the $250,000 threshold for single filers, and 8 million, 10% of all homeowners, could be above the $500,000 limit for married filing jointly. And that's according to a 2025 study by the National Association of Realtors. Okay, so who's going to benefit? And if you do benefit, how do you plan for that? And before we jump into who's going to benefit, I'm going to share with you a study by Yale that talks about that, Yale University, excuse me. But I want to first talk about the planning aspects of it, because taxes are one of two expenses that, as a retired financial advisor myself, that I saw that retirees dramatically underestimated. And I don't want to see you underestimate expenses that are important. The first one I mentioned was taxes. The other one is healthcare. And unfortunately for our healthcare, according to Fidelity Investments, they say above and beyond what Medicare pays for us once we're 65, from age 65 until we pass away, Fidelity says we need to budget $165,000 in total for that period. That's an enormous amount of money. And so planning is really important. Planning for taxes like sale of a home. If you forget to plan for taxes on the sale of your home, that could be a really costly mistake. So thinking through that, and I urge you to use software designed for you. The software that I like is called Bolden. It used to be called New Retirement. A lot of folks want to do their own financial plan in Google Sheets or in Excel, but I urge you not to do that. Here's the full QR code. And I'll put that up, but then also my code, this is the link right here. So I'll leave it right here. But I urge you not to use Excel or Google Sheets. One, it takes a lot of time. And two, unfortunately, we're likely to make a mistake, either a formula mistake or forget something. So use software that's designed for you. Bolden and others are super affordable. This video is not sponsored by Bolden, but I am an affiliate. So if you use that link or the link in the description below, you'll be supporting the channel. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going. I promised to share with you a study by Yale. This is the Budget Lab, and the Budget Lab at Yale is a nonpartisan policy research center dedicated to providing in-depth analysis of federal policy for the U.S. economy. And here you can see just recently who would benefit from eliminating capital gains tax on home sales. Here's what they say. They have three major takeaways here, and then I'm going to share a table with you. But the three major takeaways that they have is, unfortunately, only a small fraction of homeowners would benefit, and we'll talk about why that is when we look at the table. Those who would benefit are wealthier, higher income, and older on average. You know, and as somebody that talks about retirement, as somebody that this channel really attracts a lot of people that are 40, 50, 60, and older. So we're interested in that. When they say people that are older on average, that's us. In fact, I believe it's 80% of all 65-year-olds own a home. And that for those that benefit, the tax savings would average about $100,000. So that's real money. Now I want to show this table here because I think it's really well done. And this is from that budget lab at Yale. And you can see here, let me move this up. You can see here that they have non-homeowners here and homeowners on the right-hand side. I want to focus on the homeowner side and talk about this. So the share of homeowners that are below the exemption, below the current $250,000 or $500,000 exemption, is almost 90% of us. And those of us that are above are 10% of all homeowners. But as I was talking earlier, that the average age here, see, the average age for people that are below the exemption is about 55, but it's about 65 for the people that are above the exemption. So the longer you've owned your home, likely, because home prices have gone up so much, likely the more likely you are to benefit from this law. So what's the average net worth here? You can see the average net worth of a non-homeowner is about $153,000. And the net worth, the average net worth for somebody that's below the exemption is $1 million. Look at this. The average net worth for somebody above the exemption is almost $6 million. $5,707,000. That's a big number, but I want to caution you because they're using average here. So, Jeff Bezos probably falls into he's above the average and would benefit from this elimination. People like him, billionaires. And it doesn't take that many billionaires to really skew the data. So while this is an average, I suspect the median number is closer to, I'm guessing here, closer to $2 or $3 million net worth. For most, according to the Federal Reserve, their survey of consumer finance, when you look at people's net worth, which would include their savings account, but importantly, their home equity, about half of our net worth is tied up into our homes. Okay, so the average home value here, you can see below the exemption, the average home value is $365,000. Above the average, it's about $1.5 million, $1.4 million. The average home equity here, you can see the average person below the exemption is about $240,000. And the average home equity is $1.18 million. Now here you can see the skew of the averages, right? Because how can you have a home value of $1.4 million and the average home equity be almost $1.2 million of that? So that's how averages can lie to us. And then you can see here the average income, $72,000 for the non-homeowner, $150,000 for the homeowner that's below the exemption, and almost, over $400,000 for the person that's above the exemption. Again, the average is skewing that number. And we talked about the average age. So this could be a big deal. It's definitely something you want to keep your eye on. You also want to model for this. I talked earlier about Bolden. If you'd like to use the software, you can use the link in the description. And if you like this video, the next video of mine specifically for you that I think you'd enjoy is 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy your journey until you get to retire. We're supposed to enjoy the whole journey, not just once we retire. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.